Hey guys, I'm Glitter Valkyrie, and today we're going to summon for Legendary Caeda. I have talked about this before, but she is my favorite Shadow Dragon character, and I am so happy that she finally got a legendary form. So we will talk about this banner as we go along, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so my plan was not to pull any of these colors today. I really wanted to focus on blue and colorless, but I really do feel like green is significantly stronger than red on, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, we got Triandra for free. I'm so excited to see her. That is absolutely amazing. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And she is plus defense. You know what? She is my favorite Fae OC, so I am super happy with that. But hopefully we'll see more of our desired colors from now on. But I will definitely be shooting for those colorless and blues today. But in terms of the characters that I want the most on this banner, Caeda is oh my gosh. We got Leaf. I do not know what to do with him because I do have a plus 10 one, but I'm super happy to see him. And he is plus defense. All right, so we will absolutely take that. But I was saying that my number one choice for characters on this banner is hands down Caeda. I do have her regular version at plus 10. That was actually my second plus 10 project ever, and I still use her to this day. And I feel like this version is just going to be so incredibly useful, and I also really like her art, and I just love everything about her. So she's definitely number one, and I also think that she shares with a bunch of very strong characters. I actually don't have Legendary Fae. I skipped her banner, and I'm always happy for more copies of Not, so I feel like that's super strong. But aside from those characters, I also really want to get 2 more copies of Legendary Corrin because mine is plus 8, and I would love to get her to plus 10. Holy smokes! we got a Legendary Chicken. I'm really happy to see her. That's amazing. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And she is plus attack. You know, I don't remember what her stat line is completely, but I feel like she's a slow character, so I feel like that's absolutely amazing. So super happy to see her. But I was saying that I just need 2 more Corrins to get her to plus 10, and I use mine all the time. I absolutely love her. So I'm really hoping that we can get those final 2 copies. And I also feel like it's worth it because she shares with Lei Yarn, and she is a character that I also love, and she also has amazing fodder, so I feel like there's a lot of value there too. So that's mostly my plans for this banner. I really don't plan on pulling any more green or any reds unless I have to. But yeah, so I think that we can probably go ahead and move on to some viewer questions now. And as always, if I did not get to your question, I am so sorry. I will try to answer in a future one. And if you think of a question that you'd like to ask me, just leave it in the comments with #question, and I will add your question to my list. So our first question today comes from Gustavo Hirata, and they ask, what are other characters that actually do not show up in other Fire Emblem games like Elamine and Uller that you would like to see added to Fae? So I really love the trend of adding characters that are truly mythic to Fae that we haven't necessarily seen. I absolutely adore Uller and Elamine as well, and I really hope that they keep it up in the future. And so the characters that I want to see that are kind of similar to that are from both of their games. From Effie 7, I really want to see Roland and Hannon and Durbin, and I may be saying those names wrong, but those are ones that I want to see. And as for FE4, honestly, I really want to see all the Crusaders. I think they're super interesting. But the ones that I would want to see the most would probably be Baldur and Norin and Sed and maybe Bragi as well. But also Ode. So basically all of them. I think that they're all very interesting, and we really didn't get to meet them. So adding them to Fae is just an amazing opportunity. So I hope that we see more of that in the future. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one. And this question comes from Ben LaQuoit. And they ask, when Male Corrin gets legendary status, what would you like to see him do, and what skills should he have? Okay, so I feel like my answer might be a little bit disappointing, so I'm sorry in advance. But I do not have any attachment to Male Corrin, and it's for a really silly reason. It's because I do not like his hair. So I'm very sorry. I know so many people love him, and I know that it's kind of hypocritical because I really like female Corrin, but he's just not a character that I have attachment to because I always played as female Corrin and I always married Xander. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. But I do actually want him to get a legendary form because I feel like all those fans really do deserve it and it's only fair. So when he gets added, I hope he has a really good kit. I think it'd be really interesting if he turned into like a super powerful dragon because his regular form can't do that. And so I guess that's what I would hope for him. But I'm sorry if that's disappointing. But thank you for that great question. And we get an Odin. All right, so let's go ahead and answer another one. And this next one comes from Jason Mock. And they ask, which Effie villain do you hate the most when they killed your most favorite Fire Emblem characters? So there really is one person that comes to mind for me, and that is Trevant. And that's just because of the Yeet Desert. Quan and Ethlyn were some of my most favorite characters. Ethlyn's actually my favorite character overall in FE4. And what he did to them was just so incredibly cruel, especially when you think about Altena being there. It just completely broke my heart, and I just cannot forgive him for it. So definitely Trevant would be my answer, but thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one, and this question comes from Gavin Moyse. And they ask, I never knew why Surtur always has gotten so much hate in Fae, so why did he exactly? So I can't speak for other people, but for me, it's really because he is such a one-note villain. He's like truly a mustache-twirling villain who doesn't have any redeeming qualities. And while I do tend to like the good guys over the bad guys, there are some villains that I love, and it's because they are complex and they have depth, and I feel like Surtur has absolutely none. He is just evil, and he does horrible things. He commits atrocities against characters that I love. And so for those reasons, he just did nothing for me, and he's one of my least favorite characters in Fae. So I'm sorry if you like him, but that's kind of how I feel about it. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one. And this question comes from Steer Lara. And they ask, if you could make a crossover of a Fire Emblem game with any fighting game, which one would you choose and which characters would you want to add? So I'm not actually a huge fighting game person, aside from Smash that I play very, very casually, but there is one fighting game that I've played and I really, really enjoyed, and that is Soul Calibur. And I only played the one that I think was on the GameCube. It was the one where you could get Link. I was a kid and I put so many hours into it. I really, really enjoyed it. So I think that Soul Calibur would be kind of fun to mix with Fire Emblem. And I guess I would choose characters that aren't in Smash, so characters like Xander and Hector and Ephraim and Lara Shell, and I don't think that would ever happen, but I think that would be super fun to see. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one, and this next question comes from Koistan, and they ask, what do you think the GBA Fire Emblem games have that make it that much more special to you compared to older titles aside from nostalgia? And what do you think of Aether Raids overall? So as for your first question, I would say that it probably is nostalgia. There's just something about playing a game as a kid for me that makes it so much more magical. And I don't know if it's because like I had no idea what I was doing when I was playing games when I was little and everything was overall more magical. And I just had like an entire day to do nothing and play video games, and I had that freedom that I don't necessarily have now. So yes, I think that nostalgia does play a huge part. But I also will say that there is just a certain style and charm about the way the sprites move in those older games that's really unique and maybe hasn't been replicated in the more recent games. So it's mostly nostalgia, but I also think that they do have great style. But as for your second question about Aether Raids, that is not a mode that I honestly enjoy, and that's just because I feel like I'm fighting the same gross teams over and over, like the super cancerous meta teams, and I just don't enjoy it. And I'm also kind of getting to the point in the game where I can build my favorite characters and make them as strong as I possibly can, but sometimes it's just not enough to counter those meta threats. And that's kind of the point where I start to lose interest, because if I can't use my favorites and make them work with really high investment, it's just not as fun for me. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's always subject to change. They can always make changes in the future and make it more fun. But yeah, that's my feeling about it. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one. And this next question comes from Modern Berserker. And they ask, do you plan on playing Triangle Strategy, and what are your thoughts on it so far? So I have not played the demo yet, but I will say from what I've seen, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I played Octopath Traveler and I really enjoyed that, and this seems somewhat similar, but I love the art direction for that game. It's just so beautiful, and I think that the characters look really interesting, and it does have a little bit of a Fire Emblem feel to it, and I am just so excited to play it when it comes out. I will say that I have a huge backlog of games that I have to play, but I definitely want to pick that up as well. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer another one. And this next one comes from Deanna Gamer Gaming. And they ask, pick 3 characters from each house in 3 houses that you would love to see get an alt sometime soon in the game. Okay, so we should probably start with my favorite house, Golden Deer. And I would say Claude, that isn't colorless, that would be amazing. I would love to see Best Girl Marianne get another alt, and it's kind of a tie between Hilda and Raphael. I love, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, we got Leg Yarn. I am so excited to see her, that's amazing. Okay, let's check IVs. And she is plus speed, I will absolutely take that, that's fantastic. So we will just keep going. And getting back to this lucky question from Deanna Gamer Gaming, I would say Claude, Marianne, and it's a tie between Raphael and Hilda. And then as for Blue Lions, I would love to see a non-blue Dimitri, that would be great. And I'd love to see Felix get another form, and I'd love to see Dedue get an alt as well. And then as for Black Eagles, I would say definitely Caspar, and definitely Petra as well. I feel like she's the character that I never talk about, but I actually really love her. And as for the last one, I would probably say maybe Ferdinand. And you know what? I'm pulling this entire circle. I don't even care. But thank you, Deanna Gamer Gaming, for that very lucky question. So let's go ahead and sneak in like 1 or 2 more questions. So this next one comes from Firefly Gaming 0703. And they ask, where do you stand on the philosophical debate of Paimon being or not being emergency food? So I am not a huge fan of Paimon, but I feel like she shouldn't be food. So I would say not emergency food, but if she could talk like maybe 5% less, that would be great. But thank you for that great question. Okay, Smoke, please be Corin. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm so glad that we kept pulling. That's amazing. And she is plus defense. I'm super happy with that. So we're going to be silly and pull these last 2 because this could be our final 2 corn. Who knows? Okay, Smoke. And we get a Gordon. All right, let's go ahead and pull this last one. Okay, maybe it's a clutch corn. It's Tanya. All right, so we're past our 40 and we're gonna go ahead and spark for Sheeta. Oh my gosh, there's so many. And it's so tiny. We gotta make sure we choose the right one. Yay! Oh my goodness, her art is so adorable. I'm so happy that we were able to get her. And we get a blessing, and we get the thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end things here. I'm so happy that we were able to get Sheeta along with a lot of other great stuff too, and hopefully one day we'll get those final 2 corns. So I do want to wish everybody the best of luck on this banner and all the ones that we have coming up. I know there's a lot of great stuff in the future. And I also wanted to give a big thank you to everybody that submitted questions. I really appreciate it. So as always, thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.